My name is Tim McNally of Communication Strategies Company. Joining me today is Troy Mairs from Kairos Film Company, and we are going to discuss media influence. And so, Troy, we're here in your editing studio.
Welcome.
Thank you. And so, I'd like to start off by asking you, what is your title or role as a media influencer or someone who works with media content? What do you do?
Sure. So my specific title, if you will, I'm a commercial cinematographer. I create commercial films, do some product photography. Branding is a big part of what I do, is helping people create their brand, what their identity is, and then displaying that to the public.
Okay, that's interesting. So next, I'd like to ask you a general question. What is digital media to you? In your niche sphere of
Sure.
media,
Yeah.
what is digital media to you? What?
Well, I think there's a lot of different types of media out there. Be it, painting or music is a media, or spray painting, whatever. Digital media is no different. It's a canvas that we can create on. I kind of look at it a little bit like a painter in front of their blank canvas. Even though it's not a tangible thing, this digital media, all the same things apply to where you're gonna take your brush and start painting on it, right? And what's unique about digital media, specifically video, which is kind of what I specialize in, is we get to introduce movement to media, which you don't really get a whole lot of in other types of media they're largely static. So the way that we can convey time is another cool part about digital media. But yeah, it's just something that it's kind of an intangible thing, I guess, which makes it hard to describe, but exists anymore largely online. And it's just a way to communicate with people all around the world.
Wow. I love that analogy that you use with likening it to an artist and picking up a brush. So I would liken you to an artist, and I would say you are an artist with a camera lens, and so it makes me think of the phrase, "A picture's worth 1,000 words."
How much is a video worth?
So how much is a video worth?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know. I have so much respect for like artists and painters, and I really look up to them and get a lot of my inspiration from them. So I don't feel like an artist myself, but whatever. A picture's worth 1,000 words, and when I shoot a video, I can show you 24 pictures in a second. So that's kind of why I gravitated towards it. Really, when I started out, when I picked up a camera for the first time, I was taking photos, and I really struggled with it. Everybody kind of has their own language they like to speak, their own way they like to express themselves, and I was not good at taking photos. It just wasn't for me. And when I started switching to video, it just clicked. It made a lot more sense. I could tell my story through film much more than I could any other way.
Wow, I appreciate that vulnerability and sharing that.
Sure.
That to me is such a powerful statement, and it's so inspiring for those who are looking and might have tried something, and to keep
Sure.
trying. So I appreciate you sharing.
I think that's an element of creating anything, is a certain vulnerability that comes with that. It's not something I always had. I've become a lot more vulnerable of a person since I started creating things and putting it out there for the world to see, because it's kind of yourself in its raw, natural form.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. So my next question, Troy, is how do you specifically use digital media with video to influence others? What is your purpose behind creating video content?
Sure. Well, my sales pitch, if I was sitting down with the client, would be, I'm going to help you share your story. And anymore today, so much of the world is online. There's so many eyes that exist there.
Yeah.
So how do we get there? Through digital media, right? So if I'm sitting down with someone, I'm going to explain just how we can take who you are, who your story is, and begin to convey that.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers your question. I forget exactly what it was, but that was kind of my first thought.
No, yeah.
So forgive me.
First thought, best thought. I appreciate that. No, yeah.
I guess it comes back down to just telling your story. That's what I do. Is I help other people tell their story. Most people can explain it, as we sit down face to face, but then to create a visual representation of that is kind of how I approach it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to repeat back my understanding of this. So you help others express themselves and their message through video.
Yeah, that's a pretty. Can I write that down?
You can use that.
That's gonna be my new tagline. Kairos Film Co.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is it? And we kind of talked about this a little bit, but what is it that you enjoy about digital media that just draws you? What is your passion behind it? That just brings you back to it every time. When the going gets tough, what keeps you in there?
This is gonna sound very simplistic, but dude, I just love making stuff look cool.
That's good.
That's very far from deep, but at the end of the day, like, I like to take things, whether they're products, whether it's a brand, whether it's a piece of real estate, like whatever, and figuring out how it is that we can make that look cool. It keeps coming back to telling that story. I don't know. I like telling the story of something or making up a story for something. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at a guitar off frame here. I'm just thinking like, oh, how could I showcase this guitar? Everybody's seen a guitar, but what ways have we not seen a guitar? So have we? I don't know, inside of the body looking out, or just different angles and ways to convey what can be a pretty ordinary reality, and that's what makes it very exciting to me.
Wow, that's such a powerful statement, because what you're really doing is you're shaping a perspective.
Yeah.
You're allowing people to see something from a new viewpoint, a new perspective, and in doing that, you can create a new appreciation for something that's just ordinary or mundane, and you can take that and blow people's minds with it.
And to piggyback on that, what's really kind of fun and interesting is, as the camera operator, I get to tell the audience what they see. Yeah. So I can influence their perspective with numerous different factors. If I want to shoot something up from very high, looking down, it makes something look small and insignificant. But if I do the opposite and shoot low and get a high angle shot, they seem like a powerful superhero. So you really, it's a lot of ways, because you have complete control over what your audience sees, how you can then shape their perspective.
That is very interesting and very powerful as a point of communication. Just the different, like you were talking about, angles and perspectives, that the human mind just assumes or based on perspective has a different, I can't think of the word, but a different understanding of the authority or the role that object or person plays, and you as a content creator have the opportunity to influence people's understanding in such a way.
Sure.
That's such a powerful thing.
It's all about framing. We always try to make sense of anything through some type of a frame, whether that's our cognitive biases, whether that's just how we look at the world. Everybody has their own way they frame things, So that's what I get to do. Is I get to pick how you frame something.
That is very neat. Thank you for sharing that. And now, coming from an opposite perspective, we've discussed what you like about filming. What are your dislikes? Or do you have
Oh
any?
no. Yeah. So what can be tough about filmmaking specifically? There's so many variables, more so than any other media. I think there's more variables than ever.
Okay.
It comes down to all the millions of different camera settings to get a good exposure, to the different lighting. We've got a bunch of lighting even in this frame here. To, the weather, to the space that you're in, to just any number of things, which is equally exhilarating as it is frustrating at times.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine.
When things don't work out, your head can spin pretty quick.
Wow.
But I guess that's what keeps it exciting. I don't know. It's a love-hate.
There you have it.
Yeah.
Wow. Spoken like a true artist.
Something like that. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Next question. Has your communication or the way you present your message changed as your audience has grown, and how?
Yeah, definitely. So when I started out, I had no prior knowledge, understanding of any of this world, this industry. It was just kind of a trial by fire, sink or swim, however you want to word it. So when I started out, I was creating stuff almost arbitrarily.
Okay.
Which is, okay. So I was creating just kind of whatever without any prior planning or thought, or it was very almost primal, and I think this is cool. I shoot it.
Yeah.
Which is great. But now as I've grown and gotten more into this, especially in the commercial world, it's less about what I'm seeing, what I think is cool, as much as it is about who the viewer is, what the audience is, what they see, and what's going to resonate with them.
Okay.
And how can I put the audience, how can I make them feel something? How can I convey an emotion? Mm-hmm. How can I put them in the action or out of the action? They all kind of have different, so I guess that would be how my mindset has shifted from where I started to where I'm at now, is the shift of who's watching it. Is it for me or is it for my viewer, my audience?
Okay. There again, going back to the perspective, are they in or out?
Yes.
And how do they feel as they're watching it? So really, playing on the emotions of the audience and what you want them to feel and how you can make them feel what you want them to feel.
Absolutely.
That is incredible.
Because good content creation, good digital media is more than just cameras and lights and good, pretty images. It's about storytelling, and people connect with digital media that tells a story, and story will resonate with somebody. So that's how that has shifted. Yeah,
it makes me think of the process of communication. There's a sender, there's the message,
mm-hmm.
there's the receiver, and there's the response. But it seems there's more than that in what you're doing, because you're not just conveying a message, but you're forming not only what the message will say, but how it will make them feel, and evoking how painting, if you will, to go back to the artist analogy, painting a picture of what it's going to look like, what their response is going to look like, how they will respond, and controlling that.
Yeah.
So that is it just fascinates me, and as someone who has studied communication, I understand that, but to hear you as a cinematographer and how you do that with your videos is just very fascinating and awe-inspiring. So I appreciate
as someone who has not studied communication. No, that's cool. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And so I was going to ask with that how and why, but I think you really covered that well of why you do that. It's It's to control that emotion and then that response.
Yeah.
And get the audience to do what you want them to do, basically.
That's exactly it. That's a great way to summarize it.
Yeah. So going on to our next question, who is your core audience?
Right now it would be largely like small business owners.
Okay.
Is really kind of who specifically I target from the commercial standpoint. Helping with this branding. It's kind of this like elusive thing. Everyone knows you need to make a lot of good quality content. But like, where do you start? What do you do? It's like it's intimidating. It can be. So what I seek to do is help alleviate some of that and shoulder some of that burden, because this is what I do. Is I create these kinds of things, and this is just kind of how I think. And small business owners have all kinds of things on their mind anyway. So where I can come into play with these small business owners is just that, helping them create content to get their brand out, to tell their story.
Okay. So now you deal with marketing then, if I understand correctly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, largely.
Okay. And then with that, is it a focus with social media content? Do you have any? Do you work with any television or radio? I mean, probably not with radio because you're doing film. Excuse me for that.
That'd be interesting.
First thought is maybe not always the best thought. But what is your primary platform or infrastructure that you project on?
Sure, I'd say it's largely social media, just because that's where everyone's at. There's people spend less time watching TV, especially watching ads on TV.
Yeah.
People are on social media, and I think it's a really cool shift because it puts the consumer back in the driver's seat. When you're watching TV, you're kind of just forced to sit through and watch the ad unless you want to skip channels or something.
Right.
On social media, people go on there for entertainment purposes, to be entertained, for humor purposes, or excitement, or to laugh.
Stay connected.
Stay connected, exactly.
Yeah.
So in order for businesses to exist and even thrive in the social media world, they have to adapt to that. So they also have to put out content, digital media, that is exciting, that is humorous, that is awe-inspiring, that is something of that nature. You can't just flash your logo in front of people arbitrarily anymore. You have to speak to that person. You have to provide value to that person, because if you don't, you can come off as disrespectful, and you're just going to get someone will scroll right by, or eventually you just won't have any interaction on your post anyway, because people don't. That's not what they're there for. It forces businesses to level up what they're doing.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's an intercultural awareness that goes along with that, and being aware of your audience and other audiences that might see your content and could potentially be offended, or the comments that might come up and potentially hurt business. So there's so much that goes in with that, and so I so appreciate your business insight and content management that your business provides, because I see such a need for that, especially with small businesses. As someone who is starting a new business, to have that insight and that, I so appreciate and I respect what you do.
It's good. It just makes us all level up. It makes us all think twice about how we're presenting ourselves.
Yeah. So next question. That was an excellent answer. I can't get over that. How many times a day or a week do you post content? You could be personally, for your business, or for other businesses, however much you want to share with that.
Sure. So, as far as recommendations go, they vary a little bit based on who your target audience is. But at anytime you're in front of eyes, it's good usually, as long as it's good for a good reason. But shoot, I mean, I've heard experts say you should post 50 pieces of content a day. I have no idea how you could possibly do that.
Oh my goodness.
But I mean, I feel like the industry standard, it's what we're going to call it, is probably 1 to 3 times a week at least. Is kind of a good place to be. Here's the ironic thing of it, and I probably shouldn't actually share this, but I'm going to anyway. I spend so much of my time creating content for other people and managing other people's stuff and doing it. I don't have time to do it for myself. It's a little bit ironic.
Yeah.
But I've been doubling down on that, and I'm shooting for 3 times a week, posting real like high quality stuff that's going to exist, and everything. They have stories and reels and all this stuff that exists for a short amount of time. I want to get better at candidly just posting on there just to be candid about it. So yeah, I mean, as far as recommendations go, I think if you could get on at least 1 to 3 times a week, and then just go live sometime. You and I talked about this. Just as whatever you're doing, just go live and say something nice, say something positive, just something inspired. Just share it. You know, that's kind of what it's about now.
Yeah. Wow. Going back to what you said about your own content, I'm sure that your customers appreciate the statement that you just made. You spend all your time on there on promoting their businesses. So just a disclaimer there. I think they appreciate that.
I heard it illustrated one time. If you're going to hire a landscaper, you don't want to hire the landscaper who's got a beautifully maintained yard with amazing hedges and shrubbery, because that takes a lot of time and work. You want the guy who's got absolutely no extra work to be done at his own house because he spends all of his time doing it for other people.
There you go. That's you.
My yard is a yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good one. So next question. As someone who is constantly posting and creating content and has the public eye on social media and with other businesses, are there, if any, what aspects of your identity do you keep anonymous while communicating with digital media?
That's a tough one. Just because with everything being geared towards social media a lot now, it's a very personal platform, and people resonate with somebody being, be it vulnerable or personable, or just kind of sharing a little insight into their life. I think we've gotten really good as a society as being able to cut through some of the crap a little bit and see when someone is kind of just performing, and they're not being genuine.
Yeah.
And it's less interesting when there are other people out there that are genuine. They'll just, this is me, this is who I am. They're not trying to be anybody else, and that's what we love, right?
Right. We can relate to it.
We can relate to it. That's a great way to word it. So I would say, I mean, you should be as relatable as you can. Obviously, don't go and share your social security number on your or whatever. But be a little personal. Yeah, I think people resonate with that and will appreciate it.
Yeah, I like that. I think I like that. So that's really neat. I mean, that's a great perspective.
So you're it's better to be either loved or hated than to be somewhere in the middle. You almost you want to stand for something, or you want to specialize in something. Share some of your personal whatever. Because if you don't really stand for anything, then what's kind of the point, you know? What?
It reminds me of leadership. You know, unless you are doing something that nobody else is doing, you're not going to stand out.
Sure.
And you won't know if you have followers unless you're doing that something, and then you'll know if you're effective. If you have, you can't call yourself a leader if you don't have anybody following you.
If you turn around with no one
Yeah,
there.
that's right. You know, so it's correct me if I'm wrong or if you disagree, but it's taking that step and that risk.
Sure.
And going for it, and you know, in taking the risk, you either fail or you succeed.
Yeah.
And it's just trying it and seeing where you go and doing your best to try and get there.
Absolutely, yeah. And that, even now talking now, I said earlier that the industry standard is post 3 times a week. Like, if that's what everybody's doing, you know, I mean, yeah, shoot, I don't know.
Well, I'm sure there are some things that, you know,
But
you
yeah.
follow some basic rules, but
Yes, 3 is probably better than never. I don't know. It's just, there's something about kind of stepping out,
yeah.
Being genuine, doing some doing some things that are a little different, thinking a little differently, framing things a little bit differently to tie that back in.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always looking for different ways to show something that everybody sees all the time.
Mm-hmm.
To make it interesting.
Yeah.
So take that and apply it to your business strategy, to your content creation, to however you want to apply it. How can you do something in a little bit different way than anybody else has been doing?
Yeah, that's a fascinating technique, and I believe, I'm not a cinematographer by any means, but
I've seen your work. I disagree.
Well, thank you. I do dabble. But anyway, we should move on. So Troy, my next question is, what role do you play in producing the media that you produce?
I like to think I play a pretty big role. And hopefully more so than my competitors. That's kind of where I try to stand out and do something different. Like we just talked about, figuring out how to go your own way and stand out a little bit. So I like to get in on the ground floor in the concept phase. That's what we call here at Kairos, is the concept phase.
Okay.
Where the idea is created, we're brainstorming together, we're understanding your brand identity, who your target market and audience is, so that way we can begin to craft that story from the very beginning for that audience, for that platform it's going to live on. Is it going to be on TV, YouTube, Instagram? They all have different languages.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that what we're creating is going to be relevant and speaking the language of the platform it's going to go on.
Okay.
Rather than what a lot of people do, I see, is they just go shoot something and they'll figure it out later. They're going to take that footage and they're going to piece something together and try to make it work. That's where I want to come in at the beginning, and let's create something intentional for our audiences in that regard. Okay.
Yeah, I like what you said there. Creating the story. You know, like we said in the beginning, you know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. A video, tells a story.
Yeah.
And so, and you're doing it in such a way that it speaks the language of the users on which platform you are posting the content.
Right.
And so you're being mindful and aware of your users, of your target audience, and you're speaking their language. And not only are you speaking their language, but you're also speaking in such a way that's going to grab their attention and spark that interest for them.
Hopefully, that's what we're trying to do. So yeah, that's where my role begins, and then we jump in. And Kairos Film Co. is the actual. Our crew comes out and we'll bring the lights, the cameras. We have talent that can be a part of it and actually shoot and produce that content that we just. The hard part was coming up with the ideas. Now this is the fun stuff where we could actually bring those ideas to life. and then we'll doctor it up. We'll post process it and get it posted out.
Okay.
So that's my role in kind of start to finish.
yeah, you're from the beginning, the planning and the whole process, which I think is incredible, because I think it's so easy just to say, well, I want to create a video, and like you said, people go out and just do it. But
Sure.
if you don't have that beginning phase where you plan, you may not realize, everything that is necessary that you need to know about your audience and the language that they speak. And what'll grab their attention. So I appreciate that aspect. And
it's only because I've been there. It's because when I started out, I would just shoot stuff and then figure it out later. I was that guy. And I can't tell you how many situations I find myself having to scramble or go back and shoot something else, and that's logistically a nightmare. So, just that concept phase, it's a big deal.
Yeah. Huh. So I love that you're basing all this on your experience. To have been in that place.
Learn from my mistakes.
Yeah, there you go. Don't make that mistake.
I would give them to you.
Appreciate you sharing that. So, Troy, what type of content do you create specifically? So I know that you said, you're helping you're creating from start to finish, and you work for companies and you create this content. But what, if you can speak a little bit more specifically on what type of content you create, what would you say to that?
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that I find myself creating is very commercial based. It's either showcasing, maybe it's a product, maybe it's a service, it could be a building, a piece of real estate. A lot of that kind of concrete, tangible stuff in the commercial space. Outside of that, kind of in my own just personal projects, things I like to create are resharing a memory or telling a story, telling someone else's story. Kind of comes back to that.
Okay. Yeah, getting to the feelings of, and the feelings that you're creating with your audience. I like that. So you go from you're just to reiterate, story phase in planning the story, and then creating the story behind the camera, actually shooting the footage, and then editing the footage, and then managing the content, the posts. And creating those feelings. So in doing all of that, I'd like to ask you this question. We're going to go this way. What kind of impact do you aspire to make on your audience from start to finish as you're going through that process? What is in the back of your mind? What is it that you're trying to do with that content?
Yeah.
What are you aspiring to?
So my audience is oftentimes my client's audience, because that's who we're creating for, is for their audience. So in any situation, I want to create something that is going to convey a feeling, but more importantly, take that feeling and inspire action out of it. We want them to go buy this or go hire this or whatever. Whatever from concept that we wanted our audience to do, we want to move them to do that. Yeah. That's kind of my professional audience, the people I work with. But my own personal audience, that be it my close personal friends, be it the people that follow me just for kind of what we do, it's very similar, but the story that I'm trying to tell to that audience is all about finding your passion and what inspires you and going to do that. Like I've said, I've lived lives that were not exciting and passion filled, and in the moment they seem fine, but once you can break out of that and really pursue whatever that thing is for you, it just makes every day so much more invigorating, and you kind of spring out of bed, which sounds a little almost cheesy, but like that's what it is, and that's what Kairos is, and by definition, even Kairos is Greek, which means the opportune moment for decisive action. So it's seizing that opportune moment and then inspiring action to do so. So whatever your Kairos is it's now. It's we want to inspire action. That's what message we're trying to convey.
I see. I love how you've built your business, even the name, around your purpose in going into film. Kairos, you said it was the moment of taking action, sort of like the statement, no time like the present, to take action now. And that, to inspire people to do that is your purpose. And so you found a name, Kairos, a Greek word, and made that your brand, and made that your name. This is who we are. We inspire people to take action.
Well, when you put it that way, it sounds pretty good.
I love how you did that. I can really see you applied that planning aspect out for yourself, and so that's a great an example. Just in your own business that you were able to do that, and so I admire that.
It's a little bit of kind of practicing what we preach, and I'm not going to tell someone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. So I was, as we kind of founded Kairos, like spent months planning out who our target audience is going to be, where we're going to go, so that way what we're doing now is going to be relevant into the future.
Wow. So that kind of leads into my final question. And perhaps we may have already covered the answer in the previous question, but what inspires you to create the content that you do?
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of just passion, man. It's early on when I first picked up a camera, I didn't have any prior knowledge or experience with it, but I really love doing it. Especially video. I don't know. It's just kind of the way my mind works. We just clicked. Me and video. We clicked. So yeah, that what inspires me is purely just enjoyment and the excitement that comes with it, and the way that I can kind of live life in my own terms almost, and that means a lot to me. It's something that's very valuable to me, and everybody has things that are valuable to them, whether it's money or time or family or power. It's different for everybody. So I know what's valuable to me, and doing this allows me to do that. Tell my story, express that, inspire others, inspire action, whatever it is. All those kinds of things inspire me to continue to do what I do, and I'd like to think that I'll always just do whatever excites me. If the day comes where it's not running a camera anymore, I'll go do that. That's what inspires me, is just doing what I'm passionate about.
Wow. And I hope, and if you're watching this, I hope that by listening to this, you are inspired to find that passion for yourself. And I can totally relate to what you're saying, because as a communicator and someone who is passionate about communication, for me it's similar. I love helping people understand communication and helping people communicate in a way that they can be understood by others. I believe that's something that everybody deeply desires, is to be known for who they are and appreciated for who they are. And if we cannot express who we are, if we can't express our likes and our desires and our the things that we're good at and all of these different aspects of ourselves, then we can't be known. If we cannot express who we are and express and communicate well. And it's so hard to be known by others, but when we can communicate in a way that others will understand and understand others, then we can have that mutual appreciation for each other. And so I believe that you do that with your film. You help others understand, perhaps themselves, but primarily those that you are helping to express their business purpose and their brands.
I think that's where you come in, is helping people understand themselves. Even just in you and I talking, just taking time out of a normally busy day where you got like a billion things on your mind to stop and think of what inspires you, what are you excited about. We don't give ourselves enough time to do that anyway.
That's true.
Yeah, you just like to see that sparkle in people's eye.
I do.
Like a little glint, yeah.
That's what inspires me.
A little glint.
Yeah. There it is. Oh. So that's all the questions that I have for now. But I appreciate your time tonight,
man,
Troy.
you're always welcome in the Kairos editing studio.
Thank you. I appreciate that. As I said earlier,
Call to action time.
Call to action time.
What do they need to do, Tim?
This is what you need to do. Check out my website. If you're viewing this video, check out my website. Check out the Kairos film website. It's right there.
Kairos website.
There it is.
I hope I have a good editor, because I just made some pretty big promises there.
He probably knows a guy. But we appreciate you watching. And if you have any questions, reach out to us. You can get a hold of us on our website, on our websites. And thank you for watching.
Good stuff, man.
Yep.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.